In this video, we're checking out the National Auto and Truck Museum in Auburn, Indiana. This place is actually tucked in behind the Auburn Cord-Duesenberg Museum, which is pretty spectacular in itself. Now, Auburn Cords and Duesenbergs are really high dollar, very fancy, very cool cars. But for people like me who just like regular old hot rods and muscle cars, the National Auto and Truck Museum is a lot cooler. Upper floor is mostly car stuff, got some cool race cars in it. Bottom floor is trucks. So we're going to walk through, I'm going to show you the highlights, but I'm going to encourage you, if you want to see everything there is in this museum, you got to check it out yourself. We're going to start off in the shop area, which is downstairs at the museum. They have a cool little spot here. They've got lifts, they've got all sorts of tools and machinery, and the students that work on these cars get tons of great hands-on experience. So they have a really cool program where the students who log the most hours are eligible to go on events like the Great Race, or in the case of this awesome belly tanker, they're going to get to go to Bonneville to race on the salt flats. So really neat program they've got there, and the shop itself is cool. So as we walk around, we're going to see a Plymouth Barracuda that I'll talk about more in another video, so stay tuned for that. This Plymouth Barracuda's got a super rare combination in it. But sitting next to it is a Cobra, and this is a real deal car. Now it has been rebodied, so some might say that it's been messed with a little too much, but the car was not able to be repaired. So this is a real deal car. Obviously it's got some road race potential. Then we've got a Marty Robbins stock car, the number 42, some pretty wild colors on this thing. I love those little closeout panels where they put a piece of aluminum over the headlights or over the side marker lights or door handles, just cool race car stuff, and this car's got a cool look to it. Now here's a cool one that I didn't even know existed. This is a DeLorean. I knew about DeLoreans, but I've only ever seen them in the raw stainless steel or brushed stainless steel body. But this one actually has paint on it. This is a bright red paint that was a special ordered situation for DeLorean back in the day. The workshop area also had tons of projects back in the storage area, tons of different cars from the 20s all the way up into the 60s and 70s, even a few modern pieces. But look at this checker limousine. That's a pretty wild one. But as we walk through, there's just all sorts of stuff. Tractors, some race car projects, just a little bit of everything in this cool storage area. I could have spent all day just in the storage area. As I went in the back way to the bottom floor of the National Auto and Truck Museum, I saw these two salt flat racers. One of them being a big truck, which has got some cool aerodynamic tricks, but the streamliner is what really got my attention. This thing has two turbocharged small block Chevys in it, and it has gone 308 miles per hour at Bonneville. Now they have big plans to go even faster with this car, but still, over 300, that's a pretty big deal. I love this two-tone Studebaker TransStar Deluxe pickup truck. Now, Studebaker trucks are weird anyways, but the two-tone green, the weird bed cut out for the spare tire, I mean, this thing is just crazy. Then we got an old school Detroit diesel engine, big old turbocharger sitting on top of it. Now this thing definitely got my attention. Number one, it's huge. Now, this is a 1939 Kenworth emergency rescue car is what it's called. But look at this thing, it's like a giant bus, and they've got it lit up on the inside. You can see that they've not touched anything as far as restoration. This thing is still just like it was back in the day. A crazy piece. I'm assuming one of the only ones in existence, and certainly one of the only ones in this good of condition. Now this is a pretty cool display. This is a Ford Model A, which is a really standard car. They made tons and tons and tons of them. But what's cool about this is it's a cutaway car. Every piece of this thing, the fuel pump, the exhaust manifolds, the cylinder heads, every piece of it is cut away so you can see how it works. Even the ignition coil right there. So really neat, and it gives you an idea, like the radiator, gives you an idea of how that kind of stuff works, because when it's all sealed up and you don't know, I mean, it's hard to really grasp how some of these systems work. So really cool, cutaway tire, cutaway everything on this car. The bottom floor of the National Auto and Truck Museum is full of huge commercial trucks. I mean, this is stuff that goes back to the 1900s. We've got trucks in here with solid rubber tires. We've got trucks in here with wooden wheels. These are some pretty old school and archaic designs, and you'll see all sorts of different makes and models, things you never even heard of. But there's also a lot of really recognizable makes and models as well, like International and Studebaker, Dodge, Chevrolet, Ford, the obvious ones like that. And as we make our way through here, we'll see some really cool trucks, even this late 60s, early 70s International that looks absolutely untouched and original. That's a cool piece. And then one of my favorites down here is this fire truck, this International fire truck. It's four-wheel drive, got some knobby tires on it, and just so many cool things. And the exhibits are cool because when you walk by, it triggers different things, like it triggered those lights to come on. And look at this International Scout, really short wheelbase, cool gold paint job, slick as it can be, really neat restoration on this thing. And this back row of International Travelodge is really neat. This is basically their version of the Suburban. And you can see this one's really cool. This mid-60s design had some cool lines to it. And the one next to it is kind of the last generation of that make and model. And it's got wood paneling on the side of it. So cool. Now we're headed upstairs, and we're going to start with this old school round track car. This 30s Chevrolet Coupe. It's pretty beat up, but it's got a cool look to it. And we look inside, you can see the roll cage. You can see that the seating is kind of in the middle, but not quite. You see the old netting across the windshield, the netting across the radiator. Really neat looking old race car. Under the hood is a 6-cylinder with 2 carburetors and a split manifold. Pretty neat looking setup on this old race car. Sitting next to it is a monster. These sprint cars are absolutely killer, and I love the way they look. They've got just the coolest wheelbase, the cool roll cage, you know, obviously big time rubber on the back of these cars, and big time horsepower too. These things have small block Chevys typically around 410 cubic inches, big horsepower. And then sitting next to it is an offset car. These things are just wild to me. It's got an independent rear end with a quick change center section, and look at that seating situation. You sit right next to that Hilborn injected small block Chevy. The Magneto is right there where you could touch it. I mean, it's just crazy to think that you're racing that car at no telling what RPMs with it right next to you. Sitting next to it is a little quarter midget race car. Now this one's not super old, but it's still a nice representation of the different types of open wheel race cars. Now we've got some cool stock cars. Now this is a 1969 Ford Talladega. Now you've heard of the Dodge Daytonas and Plymouth Superbirds with the pointy nose and the big wing on the back, but these Ford Talladegas were just as aerodynamic, and they made big horsepower with Ford's 427 cubic inch engine. You'll see that the grille and headlights are right out there at the edge of the front end, nothing to catch the air. That was the point of these aerodynamic cars, was try to get that air over the car and make these things faster out on the super speedways. Before aerodynamics became an issue, horsepower was the answer for all of the stock cars, and this is a good example right here. The number 43 Plymouth had a 426 cubic inch engine in it. They started with the wedge head 426 and eventually moved to the Hemi, which got outlawed by NASCAR. And that pushed Richard Petty to go drag racing for a year, which he did. and then came back in 1966. Next up is David Pearson's number 6 Dodge, and you can see this car is pretty clean. This thing wouldn't have been nearly this clean after a race, but inside, pretty empty in there aside from an extensive roll cage. You can see the fenders have been cut out for the big tires. This thing's got a really cool look to it. Now here's a car that doesn't get near as much credit as it should. This is a Dodge Charger 500, which is kind of the predecessor to the Dodge Daytona. You'll see it's got a different back glass. Instead of having the inset back glass, it's got a smooth, rounded back glass. And then we make our way up to the front. Also, you see the Hemi badge on the door. This thing's got a 426 Hemi in it. But you make your way to the front of this car and you see that flat grille. It's not recessed at all. That was a huge aerodynamic trick back in the day, and this led to the development of the Daytona and the Plymouth Superbird. Now, I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to old Kaisers. Kaiser was a make that was around in the 40s and 50s, and it didn't last for very long, but they made some pretty neat cars, and this is a good example. This is a Kaiser Darren, and this was made for the 1954 model year, and it was a direct competitor to the Corvette. One of the coolest things about these cars is that they have pocket doors. So those doors don't swing out, they actually slide into the front fenders. And these things were built on the same chassis that was used under the Henry J, which was Kaiser's economy car. So we'll look at that Henry J real quick. This is an early Henry J. Notice it does not have a deck lid at all. So you have to access the spare tire from the back seat area. Totally not convenient. Halfway through the 51 production year, they started building these cars with deck lids so that you could access that compartment. And these early cars didn't even have a glove box. But they were also very small and lightweight, which made them perfect for drag racing. We've got quite a few Model A's up here, some pickup trucks, closed cab and roadster pickups. And the coolest thing that we're making our way to is this car carrier, this old school transfer truck. Look at that trailer. I mean, I don't know how this survived, but it's been restored perfectly and it's super cool. Now we've made it to the star of this collection, the GM Futurliner. Now, there were several of these things built back in the day, and they toured the country showing people what the future might be like. Things like televisions and microwave ovens and things like that were futuristic at the time, and they were telling everybody about it. And it was a General Motors funded project, a really neat piece, and these things were just absolutely handcrafted, hand-built big trucks. And just a few of these things survived. And they made a big splash on Barrett-Jackson several years ago when one sold for big, big money. But they've got one on display here. It's got a cool triggered display. When you walk by, it starts playing a video and starts telling you all about it. This is a super, super rare and extremely valuable piece of automotive history. Now, I told you that I like Kaisers and I like Henry J's. This is a really crazy car. I did not know that this existed. This is called the AMP car. It's a 1948 prototype, and if you look at that roof line, that is Henry J all the way. I mean, that windshield, the roof profile, the little cut in the quarter window, the sloped back, I mean, that is all Henry J, but the doors, the fenders, the quarter panels, that's not Henry J. It's definitely different. It's much smaller and more compact. So this car was built by American Metal Products. Now, they kind of teamed up with Kaiser Frazer, and they debuted this thing at the 1950 Chicago Auto Show. It was actually part of a contest where you could name this car. It was an unnamed car, and the end result of that contest was Henry J. That's what they were going to name this new little economy car. Now, here's a really cool piece in a row of muscle cars, this old Dodge Charger. This is a first generation Charger, and look at that, 426 Hemi. It's got power brakes on it, surprisingly, power steering, surprisingly, but this car is set up for super stock racing. We make our way around here, you'll see it's got some killer lettering on there with Lawman on the door, some really cool looking Krager wheels with bi-sply tires, even got some Krager lettering on the fender. Lots of cool stuff, lots of cool details, but you'll see that on the back here it says American Commando Drag Team, and that was in England. So this car was raced overseas. Really unusual combination with this Hemi-powered Dodge Charger, but I'm sure that this thing got a lot of attention overseas and won a lot of races. Next up, we've got an awesome lineup. We've got a 69 Camaro, Hugger Orange, Yenko Stripe, big block. Next to it is a 62 Pontiac Grand Prix. Look at that, 2 4 barrels on a 421. And then An even more unusual car, a Studebaker Avanti with an unusual set of wheels. Motor wheel spiders on that Avanti, looks pretty wild. Then we've got an Oldsmobile Toronado, Pontiac GTO, another GTO next to it, and then the quintessential muscle car of the South, the General Lee Dodge Charger. And this is actually one of the cars that was used on the TV show. And as we look a little closer, you can see some of the damage and some of where they just patched this car up just good enough to be on TV. You can see the paint's not in very good shape. And of course, it's got the trademark 01 on the door. It's got the General Lee and the Confederate flag on the roof. This is an untouched piece of TV history, so really neat to see this thing on display with all these other cool muscle cars. So that pretty much covers it from my favorites from the National Auto and Truck Museum in Auburn, Indiana. There's lots more to see here. I didn't want to show it all because I need you to go check it out for yourself. It's a cool place. I wanted to show you what my favorites were, so I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you check it out.